Last fall, David and I made plans for an 8 to 10 day bikepacking adventure from St. George to Sedona, Arizona in the spring. Overused knee complications during our off-season training made us reconsider our plans. Instead, we settled on a road trip to Sedona with plans of mountain biking, hiking, and doing some drone photography. Sedona is a red rock paradise and a mountain biking and off-roading mecca. It's also a funny mix of self-healing, palm reading, and energy vortexes, kind of like mixing Park City or Jackson with Moab. We arrived in Sedona at night in April, and we really couldn't enjoy the landscape as we made our way down the canyon from Flagstaff in the dark. After a morning mountain bike ride and an amazing mid-morning omelet, we decided to jump in David's Tacoma and head back up Oak Creek Canyon toward Flagstaff to see what we had missed the night before and get a lay of the city and the surroundings. The creek was swollen with runoff covering the entrances to several cabin communities, and the red rock cliffs up the canyon were spectacular. We spent the afternoon capturing the scenery, including Midgley Bridge, Oak Creek, and the red rock outcroppings with the drone. David's bikepacking route had us coming down Oak Creek Canyon, not on the main road, but on a dirt road. Because of the steepness of the canyon and the foreboding rocky terrain, we were both interested to see how and where this alternate route might have taken us. We decided to follow this route from the bottom up in his Tacoma. On the east side of town, Schnebley Road heads east-northeast straight up into the rough canyon terrain. The road was still closed and gated 4 miles up at a prominent and somewhat popular overlook that Jeep touring companies take advantage of. 4 miles seemed like a cakewalk, but we soon realized that the terrain was quite rough, necessitating a very slow ascent. It took us well over an hour to cover the 4 miles crawling over the rocks in the Tacoma. It would have been a slow, tedious, and agonizing descent on loaded bikes, highlighting the fact that route finding doesn't always work out the way you hoped. The overlook at the top was a stunning view of the sandstone outcroppings with the city and horizon as a beautiful backdrop, and we took full advantage with the drones. We made it back into town just before sunset and were able to find the perfect spot to capture the highlights and shadows of the evening sunset, with beautiful green cedars and junipers in the foreground and the highlighted sandstone buttresses and sky contrasting. In addition to a couple of amazing hikes that we did, one of the highlights had to be the time that we spent at the White Line. As the name implies, it's simply a white line in the contrasting sandstone that is well known to biking adrenaline junkies. It's worth looking up on YouTube if you are unfamiliar with it, but David included probably the best footage that I have seen. It's a relatively short out and back along a cambered sandstone wall that isn't all that technical, but certainly isn't for the faint of heart. One slip or fall for any reason might be your last. For that reason, only highly skilled riders with nerves of steel attempt it. Even the off-road approach to get to it in the Tacoma was full of fun. I had to assure Dave that the Tacoma was more than up to the task in a couple of spots. When we got there, we got some drone footage of the spectacular surroundings and the White Line itself. There was a biker who was scoping it out, and we couldn't tell how serious he was. As it turns out, he was serious, and we got to watch him ride it flawlessly. I've always wanted to see someone ride it in person, and so mission accomplished. Our time in Sedona was well spent. We loved every minute of it. On our way back to St. George, we had a couple of other bucket list places that we wanted to see, most of them near Kanab. When we stopped in Page for lunch, we put in for permits for the wave, unsuccessfully. We thought there would be enough time to go to Kanab for gas and then off-roading to a spot called the Great Chamber. It turned out to be pretty impressive and a great place to get drone footage. We wanted to finish the day getting some sunset shots at the White Pocket. As it turns out, we underestimated the time that it would take to get there due to the off-road conditions. We pushed David's Tacoma to the limits, pushing hard to beat the sunset. In the end, we just barely made it, jumping out of the Tacoma and quickly making our way to the perfect spot to see and photograph the diverse and stunning rockscapes that the White Pocket is known for. We had an amazing time trying to capture the evening shadows and diversity of color and texture. It's so fun to spend time with Dave. He's always up for any adventure and does such a great job preserving the memories. We'll still be looking for another bike packing adventure together.